Pete has caused another major stir. Honestly, it's surprising, because you'd expect an administration so focused on controlling speech to at least keep its own communication locked down. But that hasn't been the case with him. Once again, the least capable and most questionable member of Donald Trump's cabinet has leaked information, messages that point directly to Trump's wrongdoing. We'll break down all of it in just a moment. Before we dive in, though, a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the channel, please tap the like button. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. It really helps support the work we do here. Now, before unpacking how Pete exposed his boss yet again, I want to highlight how Representative Jasmine Crockett absolutely nailed it today in Congress. Take a look right here.
Because I am frustrated that we are having this hearing when we know that this administration can't take care of their own business. As we know, they recently illegally bombed yet another Venezuelan boat, and we may be headed for a war. We know that this particular president has decided that he wants to shake down people as relates to the First Amendment, because he has filed not one lawsuit, not two lawsuits, but he has filed numerous lawsuits. He filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. He filed one against the Wall Street Journal, against CBS, against ABC, against the Des Moines Register. He is doing all of this because he wants to quash any speech that is not appreciative or lauding him, which is pretty much anything that's factual. So let's talk a few facts about these January 6th felons that should still be incarcerated because they went through the process, but because they were doing things on his behalf, of course, he wanted to let them go. So they released more than 1,000 people who participated in the insurrection on this government, many of whom who had previous criminal records, like Mr. Theodore Mendenforth, who was convicted of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, or Mr. Peter Schwartz, who had 38 prior convictions, including one where he beat his wife by repeatedly punching and biting her. Trump also pardoned Mr. David Daniel, who was convicted of production and possession of child pornography. Trump also pardoned Mr. Daniel Ball, who, quote, threw an explosive device that detonated upon at least 25 officers during the Capitol riot. He also had a record for, quote, domestic violence by strangulation. I'm not done. Trump also pardoned Mr. Andrew Taki, who sent nudes to an undercover law enforcement officer who was posing as a 15-year-old girl. Mr. Casey Hopkins also received a pardon from Trump, and Mr. Hopkins was convicted of forcible rape. According to court records, he, quote, had forcible intercourse with the victim, choked her to the point of impairing her vision, banged her head into a wall, and urinated into the victim's mouth as he humiliated her. These are the people that he decided to release in the streets of D.C. So if anybody does need to clean up D.C., I would agree it is this man, because he is the one that is causing half the crime that we have. Not only is he participating in the crime, but we know that he instigated the insurrection. And if I did say that I had one issue with the Biden-Harris administration, it is the fact that they did not move forward and make sure that this man was put where he should have been put. Because the last time I checked as a criminal defense attorney, and Mr. Attorney General, you may have a different experience, but I never had a defendant that had 34 convictions for felonies and did not spend one day in jail. Never in my life. And the last time I checked, the party of law and order is the only one that decided that they would be out of order and decided to nominate someone who was not only indicted but was actually convicted of multiple felonies. That has never happened in this country, and it is a shame that we are dealing with it now, and now he wants to tell y'all how to do your jobs.
Okay.
If you ever want to be a MAGA Republican, and I don't know why you would, but you would have to do exactly what Jasmine Crockett just exposed. The most blatant hypocrisy, shameless lying that comes out of this administration every single day. It's very clear that Donald Trump doesn't give a about Charlie Kirk. He doesn't give a about any of Epstein's victims. Donald Trump just wants to exploit any political moment for all the gain possible. That's what he's doing with Charlie Kirk. That's what he's doing with this notion that crime is exploding in D.C. It's just not the case. Donald Trump wants to present himself as the big, strong, tough guy because he understands that his bloated fat gut is what we actually see. His melting face is obvious to all. And even though you put makeup on your hands, Donald, it doesn't cover up the fact that you're melting both inside and out. And so, yes, Donald Trump is pretending he cares about crime, but he doesn't. Both at home and also abroad, especially in international water, where Donald Trump has been committing war crimes. And Pete Hegseth exposed that in a leaked report that's coming out. Hegseth's own lawyers sound the alarm on Trump's drug boat killings. Military lawyers warned Donald Trump that strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats were potentially illegal, but their opinions were ignored or sidelined. According to a new report, Trump announced this month that the U.S. military had destroyed 3 different boats that were allegedly crewed by members of the Tren Aragua gang smuggling drugs to the U.S. from Venezuela. The president shared footage of the 2 strikes which killed a total of 14 people on social media and mentioned a 3rd boat in passing while speaking to reporters outside the White House. Officials have refused to answer questions about where the strikes took place and under what circumstances, and have not provided evidence that the boats were carrying drugs. They have also not provided a legal authority that would justify the summary execution of civilians. But within the Pentagon, some career defense officials and military lawyers have provided verbal and written opinions to the Department of Defense leadership, saying they were concerned about the legality of the strikes, which is leaked to the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. Coast Guard often intercepts suspected drug smugglers, but the standard rules of procedure for dealing with cartel members are to arrest and prosecute them, not execute them. The officials identified problems with the legal justification for the strikes, and they warned that the soldiers who conducted the attacks could be held personally liable for the killings, but the officials believe that decision makers at the Department of Defense sidelined them and ignored their concerns, a source told the paper. Other officials are looking for ways to provide legal protection for the individual military personnel involved in the strikes. The chief Pentagon spokesperson denied to the Journal that any Pentagon lawyers with knowledge of the strikes had raised concerns about their legality and said that the administration was on firm legal ground. It's clear this administration isn't standing on solid legal ground, and just as clear that Pete Hegseth can't keep the Pentagon secrets under wraps. What also stands out is the double standard. Donald Trump often demands nonstop condemnation from liberals for acts of political violence, yet when he authorizes reckless strikes, it's treated as unquestionable. That really sums up the pattern here: corruption, misconduct, and no accountability. They release as little information as possible, making it harder for people to track what's really happening. The best way to push back is to understand their tactics, because they overwhelm the conversation with so much noise. I'll keep working to break it down for you, but this case in particular matters. And Senator Chris Murphy explained it perfectly right here.
You probably saw news that last week the Trump administration took this airstrike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela. First of all, we have sort of no information on who was on that boat or who was killed. It might be, as the Trump administration says, members of a drug cartel. It might be civilians. We don't know. But there's 2 important things here that are really concerning that you need to know about. First is the president has no legal authority to take that strike. We are not at war with Venezuela. We have not declared war against any of the cartels there. This is a president who every single day is acting like the law doesn't apply to him. That's a problem domestically, as he uses the Department of Justice to target and harass his political enemies. But arguably, this is a even bigger deal internationally, because if the president can take strikes against anyone anywhere without congressional authorization, then he can also drag us into wars overseas without any debate domestically. This is the most irresponsible, reckless president America has ever seen. And to let him engage in military activity overseas without the consent of the American people, it's so dangerous. But the other reason this matters is that his stated reason for taking the strikes to try to stop the flow of drugs in the United States, it makes no sense as the centerpiece of a counter-narcotics strategy. The Venezuela-Caribbean route, it's just not the main way that drugs come into this country. And to the extent it is, it's about the cocaine trade. The drug that is killing Americans right now is fentanyl. And fentanyl comes in through the Central American route, through Mexico. At the very same time that Trump is ordering these strikes on the boat in Venezuela, he's gutting the programs that we use to interrupt the drug trade coming through Central America and Mexico. We have dramatically fewer resources to stop fentanyl coming to the United States while we're taking airstrikes against a boat off the Venezuelan coast. This is a recipe for more drugs, specifically more fentanyl, to come into the United States. This doesn't make sense as a counter-narcotics strategy. It is not allowable by law. It's a complicated, important story, but it's a story that we really have to talk about.
Let's be clear. This is political violence. Just as using American tax dollars to fuel devastating conflicts abroad is political violence, so is the indifference to children's lives, whether here at home or overseas. Time and again, Donald Trump has shown he does not care. I won't play into demands for fake outrage from those who lack true sympathy for the innocent lives being lost. What we are witnessing right now is America carrying out political violence, and Trump working to silence dissent against it. This isn't only about one case or one individual, it's part of a broader effort to intimidate and suppress speech. He wants to project strength, to appear untouchable, but the truth is very different. He continues to lose in court, and his attempts to quiet critics prove our words matter. If they didn't, he wouldn't try so hard to shut them down. And that's exactly why Governor Tim Walz made such an important point right here.
Oh, hi, Chris. Good to see you. Oh, this is it. If you ever wondered how democracy dies, you're witnessing it. And I know it's people are watching a football game tonight, and we're kind of sleepwalk through this thing. But
don't remind them. We got him here.
One of the most outrageous affronts. Yeah, well, right. It's one of the most outrageous affronts on this. This is North Korea style stuff. And it's being done because this is a weak, thin-skinned man who's failing as a president. All of the things he promised are not happening, and this is exactly what dictators do. It's our most cherished freedom to point out very clearly this is a terrible president and a terrible human being who is doing nothing to improve the lives of Minnesotans.
They fear the power of our collective voice, especially now as independent media online keeps growing. Trump won't silence me through corporate bosses because I don't have one. It's you who support this work. Don't let intimidation stop you from watching. We don't answer to ad executives or suits pushing a corporate agenda. That concentration of media is part of what got us here. It's just us, and we'll keep fighting. If you want to help, hit subscribe, leave a like, and if you stayed to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep speaking out. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I will see you soon.